Have you ever looked around and realized the people who used to fill your life are gone? Not because of a fight, not because of betrayal, but just gone. Maybe the text slowed down, the invitations stopped, the conversations got shorter, and one day you sat down in a quiet room and thought, am I the problem? Did I do something wrong? Why does growing feel so lonely? If that's you right now, don't turn this video off, because what I want to tell you today might be the most important thing you'll hear this season of your life. What you're calling loss, God is calling preparation. Let's be honest for a second. There's a particular kind of pain that nobody really talks about, and it's the pain of being misunderstood by people who used to understand you. You started praying more. They called you weird. You stopped going out every weekend. They called you boring. You started setting boundaries. They called you difficult. You got a vision for your life. They got uncomfortable. And the hardest part? These weren't strangers. These were your people, your best friend, your cousin, someone you did life with for years. And now there's this awkward distance between you. And you don't know whether to fight for the relationship or just let it breathe. You've been blaming yourself. You've been rehearsing old conversations in your head at 2 a.m. wondering what you could have done differently. But here's what nobody told you. Sometimes the distance isn't a wound. It's a doorway. In the book of Genesis, God told Abraham something radical. He said, "Leave your country, your people, and your father's household, and go to the land I will show you." Now notice what God didn't do. He didn't give Abraham a map. He didn't tell him the full plan. He just told him, leave. And buried in that instruction is one of the most overlooked truths in Scripture. Some people are attached to your old location, not your destiny. They were built for who you were. They cannot navigate who you're becoming. This isn't about being better than them. This isn't pride talking. This is just the reality that growth is directional, and not everyone is going in your direction. Think about it. When a seed is in the ground, it has to push through the dirt alone. Nobody can grow for it. And as it rises, the soil that once held it starts to fall away. That's not rejection. That's release. God is doing the same thing in your life right now. He is releasing you from environments, from circles, from versions of yourself that were comfortable, but were quietly keeping you small. And yes, it will feel like loneliness. But loneliness and aloneness are not the same thing. Loneliness is being with the wrong people and feeling empty. Aloneness is being without certain people and finally being able to hear God. Now here's where I need to say something that might catch you off guard. Some of the people who left your life, God moved them, not as punishment, not because you failed, but as mercy. This part is important, and it might even give you clarity. There are people who, if they had stayed in your life, would have talked you out of your purpose. There are people whose doubt would have become your doubt, whose ceiling would have become your ceiling, whose fear would have convinced you that the dream God placed in you was foolishness. And God, in His kindness, removed them before they could do that damage. I think about David. Before he could become King David, he had to leave the comfort of his father's house and go to the palace. Before the palace, he had to go to the wilderness. And in every transition, the crowd got smaller. By the time he was running from Saul, hiding in caves, the people around him were just a handful of men described as distressed, in debt, and discontented. On paper, that looks like rock bottom. But God was building something in that cave that could never have been built in the comfort of a crowd. Some of your exits happened the same way. That friendship that faded, maybe they would have kept you distracted at the exact moment God needed your attention. That relationship that ended, maybe it would have become an anchor when God was calling you to sail. That group that slowly pushed you out, maybe God was protecting you from influence that would have slowly reshaped your values. I'm not saying everyone who left was bad. I'm saying not everyone is equipped to carry what God is putting on you. And some exits, as painful as they were God's hand of protection, not his absence from your life. So, what do you do with all of this? First, stop chasing people. God is moving. I know it's hard, but every moment you spend trying to resurrect a connection that God has gently closed is a moment you're not investing in what he's building in front of you. Release people with love. You don't have to be bitter. You don't have to post a cryptic caption. You don't have to explain yourself. Just let go. And trust that God's repositioning of your relationships is an act of love, not abandonment. Second, don't fill the void with noise. One of the enemy's greatest tricks during seasons of transition is to make you so uncomfortable with the quiet that you run back to whatever was familiar, even when familiar wasn't healthy. Resist that urge. The quiet is where God does his finest work in you. The wilderness is where character is built. The silence is where you actually hear his voice, because finally there aren't 20 other voices competing for your attention. Third, look for who God is sending, not just who he's removing. Because here's the other side of this. When God reduces a circle, he's making room. He's not emptying your life. He's pruning it so that the right connections can grow stronger and the new ones can take root. There are people assigned to your next chapter who cannot find you yet because you're still crowded by your last chapter. Fourth, anchor yourself in this truth. You are not too much. You are not too different. You have not outgrown your purpose. You've grown into it. The discomfort you feel right now is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is a sign that something is happening in you. God does not reduce what he is not about to expand. He does not strip away what he is not about to replace with something greater. He does not lead you into the desert to leave you there. He leads you through the desert to get you to the promised land. So if you're in a season right now where your circle has gotten smaller, where the invitations have dried up, where you feel like you're doing life more alone than you ever expected, I want you to listen to this and put it in mind that you are not being forgotten. You are being formed, and you are not being punished. You are being positioned. You need to accept that they can't go with you, because where you're going requires a version of you that can only be built in the quiet, in the faith, and in the surrender. And God is faithful enough to walk with you every single step of the way. He loves you, and he will never forsake you. If this message spoke to you today, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment below and tell me, what season are you in right now? And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do, because we talk about things like this every week: the real, the raw, and the spiritual. I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourself.